It's so nice, it's brilliant to see in Kotor. And how do you find the city?
It's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful venues we've been to. We've been traveling like last year really a lot and been also outside Europe, but this is one of the most charming places I've been to.
Yeah,
and it's not coquetry, it's very sincere.
Yeah, I believe it's also my point of view that I was asking. My question will be like very general. What precisely drew your attention to medieval and Renaissance music?
I'm actually a trained pianist, but my heart was never following romantic music. It's the language that, for me, at the time I was studying it, was a bit excessive. Maybe also that was the way of interpreting Chopin, of course, which is our national pride. It just something did not resonate with me. And what I always loved were ancient languages, very early medieval literature. And then I actually discovered that there are festivals that offer, to a normal listener, offer wonderful concerts. These were the concerts of Ensemble Peregrina, of Sequentia, then Gothic voices, so really leading ensembles in the end of 80s and 90s. I mean, some remained leading ensembles, but then we had the chance in southern Poland to listen to them. And so as a young girl, I went to these festivals and I just got completely enchanted and there was no return. My piano diploma was done and I turned to singing because that's what I wanted to do much more because exactly of the languages and my intellectual interests. And then I was trained to follow intuitively some rules of early singing, which is less vibrato, clarity of text, and completely different delivery of voice delivery, and exactly some kind of singing a cappella, singing on your own, and just like creating micro worlds that can work so strong on the public, but also on you yourself. So that was my absolute discovery, listening to masters of interpretation, also with contradictory interpretations. That was great, because this just showed me how much variety we have, how much freedom we have. And then, of course, I started thinking like where the freedom stops and what I have to do in order to do it in a substantial way, like really supported by our knowledge. That's why I also went to study musicology. So my dual life is singer, performer, and researcher, and I'm trying to combine these lives in my music making.
And can you tell something about the particular program you will be performing today in Kotor? Why is it unique?
This year, we're celebrating 1,000 years since the first coronation in Poland. This means that this music, which is not necessarily from that time, but speaks about that time or is connected to the events of the year 1025, is something, of course, very patriotic, but also like our very precious heritage. It speaks about the beginnings of our state, which the state that exists until today. This is not a small thing. 1,000 years of history, and the history that we have in text and in music. Actually, this year we extended the program with really pieces from 11th century. They are very difficult to decipher, but very likely the pieces that accompanied the first coronation of Bolesław Chrobry, Bolesław the Bold, and this is kind of a speculation, but we can be pretty certain that this type of settings were performed there. We have ritual music. We have pieces that like Laudes Regie. This is very interesting. It's like a litany. Calling all the saints, including local saints. Then some of those saints are not known anymore. They were just really like, they had brief life in 11th century, but they were very important then. we call all the saints to accompany our king, that he goes on a righteous way, that he's a good king, that he's a just king, because this is the security that the country and the state will really start existing on European map. This is a very young state, and we had strong connections with the Ottonian dynasty because Bolesław Chrobry was brought up in Magdeburg, and he was very much befriended with Otto III, who was the great ruler despite his very, very premature death. So we were participating in one of the attempts to have very early European Union, basically. So, and one of the rare moments of peace between Poland and Germany.
Of course.
So we want to celebrate that.
And as also you said, and it's not only this program, but also your other programs that feature strong connection to liturgical year or paraliturgical theme. It was a kind of a choice. What's the background of this?
Interest?
Yeah, of this interest to liturgical and paraliturgical music. It's not that common in early music ensembles.
Well, of course, it needs courage to sing a cappella. It needs courage to perform chant. It's very often very demanding, very difficult. It's one of the most demanding styles to sing. It's an interest in storytelling, because every liturgy is storytelling, and it's great to learn a great deal about the activities of these people. Some didn't even exist. We know that there were some saints that were invented because they were needed for political reasons. But the way of thinking of medieval people, who protects them, what's the ressort, what's the area of expertise of each saint, and the stories of miracles. We still want miracles nowadays. We just do not admit it very often because this kind of remains like a religious wish, but we always count on something like this. So how these stories were important to the people, and exactly, some things are even funny. We have a program about St. Nicholas, which is full of very, very jousty stories about three girls saved from the brothel, about lots of sailors saved from the thunderstorm, and very colorful lives and beautiful music.
Yes, it is. And just for last question, what's your expectation and hopes for today's concert in Kotor?
My hope is that we sing well, and that we can take you all back to the year 1025, that you can sense and maybe start imagining the celebrations connected to the coronation of Bolesław Chrobry. I also sang beautiful Planctus, because he actually died soon after his coronation. Beautiful Planctus, beautiful lament on his death, which moves me always. It's a historical text, the music is reconstructed, recomposed, but it's a piece that goes straight to the heart, and I hope to move you with that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.